Hello everyone, my name is Vishal and I'd like to welcome you all to this project kickoff meeting for CAN OBD data acquisition tool that we intend to develop. So firstly I would like to go with the agenda of a meeting. So here are the topics that we're going to go over in this kickoff meeting. Top issues faced by a company, background on CAN OBD data acquisition tool, tool requirements, development process, project resources that we have intended to dedicate to this project, project goals, what we intend to achieve by this project, what are our initial goals, what are our final goals, the timeline for our project, which is also a very critical factor given that we are trying to implement a new technology which is going to be used industry-wide. We also have a slide which shows the project communication, what project communication protocol are we going to follow, who is going to be responsible for what, when are the meetings going to be scheduled, and how are the different things going to be communicated within internally and externally with the project team. Critical success factors slide is going to give us a brief overview how we're going to judge this project, if it's successful or not. And if we have time, we're going to go over a basic Q&A session if anyone has any questions. So the top issues faced by an automotive company these days are emission recalls, delayed launches, and product quality. Emission recalls have been a primary source of news these days from automotive industry, given that there's been over 10 million vehicles been recalled in the past 3.5 years as per the NFTA. So these basically, especially after the Volkswagen emission problems that we had, all the governing agencies like EPA, CARB, European Environmental Agency, everyone has scrutinized their screws, like they've tightened just a little bit more on the automotive industry. So what we plan to do, and as a company, is like try to avoid all these recalls. We haven't had any setbacks, but we would like to try and avoid all of these going future. Delayed launches are basically something that was out of the control of the project management team, which resulted in massive fines. And product quality, we always strive to achieve the best quality that we can to deliver to our customers, because nothing else satisfies a customer more than a good quality product, and that drives our profits high. Emission recalls, speaking again about it, is like what they do is like it causes massive fines. It requires a lot of re-engineering work and results in a little bad publicity for the company. So as a company, that's a primary focus, since it affects our profits, it affects our credibility, and it affects our engineering work. So that's one of the factors that an internal investigation team has come up to concentrate our efforts on recently. So this project, we're going to do specifically with emission recalls and how we can save them. So the internal investigation team came out with like the suggesting that we should develop our own CAN OBD data acquisition tool, and that would help us monitor the data and help us avoid any setbacks going future with the development process. So yes, we all know we use a CAN tool these days using the OBD2 port that we have in our cars. The current tool that we use in our industry is called MyCAN. Here are the brief advantages and disadvantages of this tool. The tool is low cost. It was developed in 1992 when the first time OBD came into existence. It's a proven technology. It has worked over the past 20 years, and we're good with that. It requires no new software or hardware because it's been developed 20 years ago and we've been using it. But there are also a few drawbacks. Since it's an old technology, it is not as user-friendly as for the current users. The technology is outdated. It uses an 8-bit processor, which hampers the data acquisition capability, which hampers the bandwidth and everything else. And it's not compliant with the 2020 norms that CARB and EPA has laid out. So we have decided we're going to develop a new tool. And that's what this meeting is for. Mostly engineers in the company use it for emission demonstration and data monitoring things. So just in case, to let you know. New tool requirements. These are the very short list of requirements that we have come up with. for this meeting is like to come up with an improved GUI, a user interface. It needs to be compatible with different OBD tools. The data should be easy to read and follow. It should meet all the COB requirements. That's one of the primary driving factors for this thing. Have all the functionalities of the old tool, because we don't want to lose any functionalities, and we should be able to generate and document report. That means it should have a post-processing capability. So here's a development process that we're going to follow. It's going to be a requirement. Then we're going to go over the review. After the review, we're going to go over the design and development phase, passing it on to the beta testing team. Once that comes in, results of the beta testing team, we're going to review it, make some changes to the software, the tool, go in for final verification and testing, release. Before releasing the software, we're going to give a mandatory training for all the employees who are going to use the GAN tools, and then release the software. So here are the project resources that we plan to dedicate. Cheryl Stark, being a senior engineer, senior manager at the company, she's going to be the senior project manager of this thing. We can use her expertise in OBD and CAN. She's an expert, and we can try to harness as much as we can from knowledge to develop this tool. David Carlson is the OBD supervisor. He's definitely worked a lot on this project on OBD and CAN side, so he's going to be a requirements lead. He's going to get the requirements from CARB, EPA, and internally from the engineers, merge it onto the one document, pass it on to myself, Vishal Tucker, and I'm going to help develop this project given the requirements that we can have from David. Hugh Morgan is an OBD tech expert. He's also going to be an OBD liaison, so he works under Dave Carlson, and he's going to be a point of contact for any OBD data that we need or any OBD requirements that we need to incorporate. There's a plan to hire 2 more associate engineers on contract basis during the development and testing period, so that we can easily test and develop the software. So the initial goals of this thing is to have functional requirement. Initially, we need to come up with a good requirement set for the new tool, set a bi-monthly meeting for project and requirements review, identify a beta group for testing this thing. We also should conduct a survey among the OBD engineers to make sure most of the requirements are covered in a requirements document, or if they have any other suggestion, we should be able to incorporate that. Overall project goal is to develop a CAN tool which is easy to use, like I mentioned before. The data, we should be able to log and monitor the data. The tool should be able to post-process the data, and we should provide a nice and adequate training for engineers so that we have a seamless transition from the current tool to the new tool and achieve what we need to achieve as a corporate. Here's a project timeline. So September 28th is when we're going to have this project kickoff meeting for a corporate, and I'm going to host this thing. October 18th is a targeted date to finalize and hand off the tool requirements, what we want as the requirements from Dave Carlson. It's going to be handed off to me. From there on, we're going to go through development phases. Intent as of now is going to be to have beta testing started on 20th of Jan 2017. Give them 2 weeks of beta testing time and 2 weeks of changing and tinkering around with the software time. So it will lead us to February 17th will be a change cutoff date where we're going to stop entertaining any changes, and we should be having a final software ready for verification purpose. March 2017 has been identified as a training period, and 30th of the March is when we intend to finally release the software. Project communication, we're going to have bi-weekly meetings for review, requirements review set up by Dave Carlson during the requirements phase. Review meetings will be organized bi-weekly by myself during the development phase, and after the beta testing, we're going to go over the results with Cheryl, and we're going to see if she wants us to make any changes or any other suggestions or recommendations by her or the corporation. All the success factors over here, all the requirements should be met, beta testing team review should be done timely, the tool should be delivered timely, end user feedback is extremely necessary. That's how we're going to gauge how our tool is performing And we also need a corporate feedback. Is it feasible to keep maintaining and developing these tools internally, or should we outsource this thing? Any questions or answers? Please leave it in comments and feedbacks, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. All the communication details will be found on the slide. Feel free to contact any one of us. Thank you. Bye.